Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about where I get most of my fashion inspo from. That isn't Pinterest or TikTok. Honestly, whenever I'm feeling like my style is too chronically online, I always bounce back to this point and I get a better sense of what my style actually is and how I want to dress. This obviously can vary depending on your style and who you look up to for inspiration, but this is what works for me. So I wanted to share it with you. Hopefully this might help you get a little bit more inspired and I guess drift a little bit away from online fashion because it can be too much at times. So the first place where I get a lot of my inspiration from are my favorite old movies. And I don't want to be that person. I'm not a person that watches a lot of old movies, but the ones that I watched in the past have honestly defined my style. Some of my favorite old movies are Salvare la Faccia. The English title is Psych Out for Murder. This is an Italian movie from the 60s that I've been obsessed with since I was like 17 years old. The fashion in this movie is to die for. I think it encapsulates what 60s fashion was so well and I'm obsessed with it. Obviously, I need to mention any old Audrey Hepburn movie. I always get inspired when I watch them, especially Charade and Breakfast at Tiffany's. So basic but so good. They're basic for a reason. And any old Jane Birkin movie. I specifically love La Piscine. Everything she wore in that movie was so good, and in general the aesthetics of the movie, the place where they filmed, the colors, you should definitely give it a watch. You're gonna get a different type of fashion inspiration than you would if you were just scrolling on Pinterest. The next place where I get fashion inspo from, I wouldn't say this is controversial, but maybe it is a little bit, is Tumblr. There's the nice side of Tumblr and there's like the weird side of Tumblr. I'll definitely advise you to stay on the good side of it, but if you only follow fashion bloggers, I think it's such a good way to get inspired. I built my For You page brick by brick. I think it's way more niche than Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I always go there when I'm looking for inspiration, but I feel like it heavily relies on what's trending at the moment. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or that it's a bad thing. If you want to know what's trending, definitely go on Pinterest because it's gonna be there. But the algorithm in there is definitely built to show you the newest pins and obviously the newest trends, whereas Tumblr is more so the holy archive of time. You get posts that were created, it can be a day ago or years ago. Sometimes I'll literally open the app and I'm getting like all of these 90s runway looks or I don't know, 2003 archive looks on my For You page. Definitely consider Tumblr for fashion inspiration. The next place where I get a fashion inspiration from is traveling. The times I've traveled, I think sometimes just people watching and seeing what real life people wear in their day-to-day, it's so much more inspiring than seeing what people wear online, because I feel like sometimes some outfits that people wear online are not necessarily what they're wearing in real life. So people watching is definitely my ultimate place to get fashion inspiration from. I think it definitely depends on the city. There are some cities that I find more inspiring than others, and I think I'm not the only person who thinks this. I think you guys have your favorite cities as well. The next thing where I get a lot of my fashion inspiration from are 90s and 2000s TV shows. I feel like this was definitely the golden era of TV and also of fashion in general. My favorite ones are obviously The OC. Anything Marissa Cooper or Summer Roberts wear, I'm just obsessed with. I love their style so much. I feel like it definitely encapsulates what the early 2000s style was, or more so like mid 2000s. I also love Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Everything she wore just looked so good, except for this little fringe situation that she had going on. That was an interesting choice. And Cordelia as well. I think she had some fits that were really good also. Serena van der Woodsen, every now and then I feel like she still wore some things that I'm not obsessed with, but some were really good and I really love them. And Sex and the City, I love Carrie, Charlotte, anything they wear I'm obsessed with, and this is a given as well. I feel like we're all obsessed with Sex and the City. And some films that I look up to for fashion inspiration as well are How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, obsessed with anything Andy wears. The yellow dress, so good. Nothing is ever gonna beat that. I think that was peak TV. Also Mean Girls, Clueless, the golden Disney Channel era, specifically Hannah Montana. I was actually watching it yesterday. I'm always inspired by that. I guess growing up in the 2000s, it makes sense that Hannah Montana is still one of my fashion inspirations. I just love it so much. The next place where I get fashion inspiration from are old cartoons. The girls from my scene, oh my god, they had fits that were to die for. I'm constantly looking how to recreate them, but I feel like they were so niche and so specific that it's hard to find some of the pieces that they were wearing. And the Bratz girls as well. The next place where I get a fashion inspiration from, and I guess this can apply to you as well, I think it varies depending on who you are as a person, but old family albums. I loved how my mom dressed in the 90s and the 2000s. I'm always going back to that. It was also a time where I guess social media wasn't really around, so people were putting outfits together without really having anything else in mind. So it's way more genuine and real, and I just love getting fashion inspiration from that. And I also get fashion inspiration from younger me. And I did watch Phoebe Taylor's video, but I swear I wrote this before watching her video. She also mentioned how she gets inspired by her younger self. I did wanted to credit her because I know she said it first, but I'm also inspired by younger me, and you should too. If you have old pictures of yourself laying around, and if you have always been into fashion, definitely go through them and see what you were wearing before, because you're probably gonna like it again. You're obviously not a child anymore, but you can find certain things from your childhood and I guess mix them up in a way that worked for you as an adult. The next thing where I get fashion inspiration from, this is also gonna be controversial, and I was debating on saying this because I don't want to sound like a stalker. I swear I'm not. But niche girls on Instagram, and I'm not talking about influencers, I'm talking about normal people. You know, those people that you kind of know but you don't know. I think sometimes people who have the best style don't really care to be seen. Sometimes they're not necessarily looking for an online following, or they have less than 20,000 followers. I think they're the best for fashion inspiration because they're not constantly sponsored by brands or dressed up in gifted clothing. Those are the girls that you should be looking up to. The next place where I get fashion inspo from are old magazines, which I feel like it's a given, but I also love going through old interior design books. Something about them is just chef's kiss. I specifically love these books because their focus isn't on fashion, so it's way more authentic. The focus of this kind of books is to show you the aesthetics of the interior design and the architecture, and not necessarily what people are wearing. So it makes it more genuine and more real, which is the reason why I love them. The last place where I get my fashion inspiration from are your favorite it girls old Instagram posts. I love scrolling all the way back because I feel way more inspired in comparison to what they are posting now. I feel like now it's obviously become so much more curated, and I don't care about that. I also wanted to mention that sometimes I get inspired by nature, and I think this came to me in a dream, which is so funny. I actually think a lot of designers get a lot of inspiration from nature as well. A lot of designs are definitely built or shaped around that. So that's where I get a lot of my fashion inspiration from. Hopefully this video was helpful. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.